give me a second. Just having a bit of technical right there. But yeah, just, you know, I like to come through and just express these words as I do. Yeah, man, just love checking in. Thought I'd check in and show face. I'm sure you've noticed that I've recently been putting in a lot more, or put a lot more captions of videos and things that I thought people would appreciate me sharing, in terms of like just art or me doing what I do. In fact, if you check, I think today I put one on there, and it was just me recently at this place in South London, and man, always enjoy going there. Very chilled, warm reception from people that come to see performances and stuff like that. Majority artist based. You see a lot of artists there and stuff like that. Last time I was there, I think there was an actor that came by. But in any case, it was just it was a fun night. The time, in reference to the video that I'm referring to, that I kind of uploaded. Yeah, it was a fun night, and yeah, man, you know, as always, I must say I do enjoy just being, just doing what I do, you know. Just, I wouldn't even kind of go into it like, you know, like, oh man, this is new to me, but it sometimes it does feel like it, you know, when it's just like you just go up there and you pretty much just enjoy yourself, type of thing. That's pretty much. And you know, you try your best to be positive with everything that you do. You know, that's the way I like to think about it. But you know, the reason why I'm here right now is just I had a few things on my mind that I've been thinking about sharing. Just you know, just these words, these thoughts as I do, and obviously, you know, I always have a piece. So let me start with that. Let me just go into something I created recently, and then I guess we could just kind of go from there, and I'll let you know where I'm kind of going with this. But this one is pretty much the title. I always try to reference what I create to the title that you see. Reference the title that you see. But in any case, this is how it goes. An accomplice to my own treachery at times. I find these lines would redefine my insides. Remnants drip in sips from my confines. Though the piles of daunting ever wanting to make me sigh. Taken to the highs of the skies like I can take flight. But those were mere delusions of the misleads of inside. The type that feeds the needs of misdeeds to watch and throw away the values that makes me try. Thus, no more highs, just lows like birthed wings, birthed with wings but too heavy to fly. Too levied to be high, thus the ultimate glass ceiling like a tree inside. Growing roots to feet as I attempt to tread air. Even if I fight, but for the life of me, I could never bear to retire. Like I'm sired to take to the plight like the limelight, feeding me instructions like algorithms, forever scarred like brain chipped and pinned, sticking to the surface until I see a way in, like a machine, like a machine with the in-betweens betwixt the surface as my mind grows ever more serene. How else could I look beyond the great sins they take to my pride like ants on the schizo side, engulfing my every rise like I'd never again be in the field good night. And that's just a snippet of, something I was working on the other day, and to what I was looking to go into today is just kind of second. It pretty much just kind of fit the narrative where I was trying to lead to today. I just had this epiphany, and I wanted to kind of share it. So, I thought I'd lead with this. And, going back to, like I said, the title of this piece was Fight. I think it's called the Good Fight. Yeah, that's right. It's called The Good Fight. And I've grown to understand that, there's always battles going on in terms of, like, irrespective whether it's secret, if a secret battle, it's a personal one, do you get what I mean? There's different types of battles out there, and one I'm speaking about specifically right now is more the battle pertaining to internal, and I guess I'm thinking of it from the idea of, like, is this a human thing? Not just a human thing, but it's more genetic, or is it environmental? Do you get what I mean? In terms of, like, the I'll say, for example, like, just self-sabotage in a sense. Is that an environmental fact? Is that predetermined by environmental factors? Is it more a genetics predisposition that we all, for the majority, share as humans? This is one of the driving idea that I had behind just this whole thing that popped into my head, and I actually do have something else to share. It was more what inspired this idea, and I think it was, if I recall correctly, it was the artist Van Gogh. I'm not sure if, I'm sure pretty much people are familiar with that, the type of art, is a painter, etc. But I wanted to pardon me. So I wanted to well, as you know, he cut his ear off. Let's just get to the point. Yeah, he cut his ear off. So, and it just kind of had me thinking: is this, what would drive somebody to, as we know, I think the majority of the world know him as an artist, and I guess the question behind that is just what would be the driving force behind somebody to, actually have conviction enough or commit themselves enough to do something to that degree to themselves that is, it's borderline, like, it's really out there in a sense. And I guess I just kind of wanted to explore the idea and just kind of just lay my thoughts on the whole situation. And it just kind of had me thinking in terms of, like, on one side I was thinking to myself, perhaps it was just not right, it just it's ill, etc., like somebody that clearly didn't get the attention to get the help that he deserved or necessarily demanded to be in a better light to prevent something like that to happen. But then I entertain the fact that somebody allowed, the situation showed itself, the fact of the matter that he was allowed to kind of almost allowed free reign to just let things develop, and in other words, just he was allowed to be himself in a sense. And I think in that space, it's almost like it just had me thinking. Of course, everybody could just be like, it could just be dismissively, and it's dismissive in the sense where it's almost like he's not right, and these are the results of it. But at the same time, I guess I'm looking at it I'm exploring the side of it where it's almost like it's more of an artistic situation, and that bears the question in terms of, like, is it a human thing? Is it artistic? Is it a combination? For someone to be so in tuned, and don't forget, is it also a double-headed sword where someone can be so in tuned or so in tune with their art while at the same time being so out of tune with their the lines that you cross, in a sense. The lines that you cross, and basically he has no lines. Maybe he's not aware of them, and I say that because it's almost like he has no inhibitions or like breaks to kind of almost take him away from the edge and almost prevent him from doing something, I guess maybe in a sense self-preservation, or like the ability to want to, as you know, to an extent we're all pretty much selfish as humans, because, and the whole idea of passing on your survival instinct, I guess it all comes back down to, it was his survival instincts in all this situation. Where was his survival instincts in all this situation? I'm pretty much wondering, and I was just like, but with all considered, all these things at play, could these be the things that pretty much encouraged him to be the artist that he ended up being in the end, in a sense? Were these the factors that allowed him to kind of be the artist that he's known for? And there's also the fact that there is a certain tendency I've noticed for, I don't know, I can't say specifically it's for one, but I've seen a certain, and maybe this is just me, maybe it might just be anecdotal in a sense where I'm speaking about this, or how I'm speaking about this, where there's a certain situational thing that occurs with artists where in the current moment in time that they are creating these profound things. It's almost like, in a sense, they're not really acknowledged for being the great creator that they are. And I guess what I mean by that is, in a sense, it struck me that in his time, he wasn't necessarily acknowledged as being, special or great, a great creator in his time. But over time, I think art takes time, and not necessarily the creation of it or the genius of it, but almost the understanding of it. I mean, in a sense, I guess you could argue that art was the first type of innovation that we've kind of known as human beings, or one of the first type of innovations that we're privy to as human beings, that we've kind of bear witness to in the years that's pretty much past, future and present. It predicts the past, the future and the present, or it tells a story of such. And I think that's a very intriguing thing. And because at the end of the day, it's almost like art, it almost transcends, I guess the only way to say it is education. You don't necessarily have to be educated to be a great artist, and you don't necessarily have to have I guess you just have to be self-aware enough to kind of paint a picture. Now obviously that doesn't really matter, as long as you're great as being an artist and great at painting, whether you're using words or a paintbrush. I think you should be able to depict, and if you're great, your depiction will be as such. Your depiction will be great. And so, going back to the question, is that almost a byproduct of being a great artist, to have, or a byproduct of being a human, even further out there, one would argue, of having this this type of dark disposition about you, that it kind of it's almost like a door where you can walk through that door, but don't go too far, because you might not be able to find yourself back to the door, to find yourself back to what would be classed or what would be defined as reality or balance. Do you get what I mean? And it's almost like, from my perception, there's certain people that almost walk through that door, but they don't necessarily make it back. Or they were privy to certain things or certain experience, whether it's just be in their head, they go through certain things, and it's almost like they're never the same. So questions, and these were the ideas that led me to kind of ponder about Van Gogh and the situation with cutting his ear off. And mind you, funny enough, it's written that when he cut his ear off, he literally went to he wrapped it up and gave it to someone in a brothel or outside a brothel. As you know what a brothel is, well, I'm sure we all know what a brothel is. But yeah, he says Van Gogh allegedly packaged up the ear and gave it to a prostitute in a nearby brothel. Allegedly. And I also thought that was such an ill thing to do. It's very ill to do. But apparently Van Gogh was that guy. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, just a few food for thoughts, and as always, just like to throw some spanners in the works, and just share my thoughts on things, and but just words, and I hope people appreciate where I'm coming from with this, and just yeah, maybe I might have my Koofy hat on a little bit, with these theories and ideas and questions, but all in the name of art, of course. And I just wanted to share, and perhaps you can follow me on my journey with this idea in this episode. And if you get a chance and you want to share, by all means, you're welcome to leave a comment and leave a like. Let me know how you feel about this episode and what I'm doing. But absolutely, always appreciate everyone for tuning in. So until next time, I shall be here. Have a good one, everyone. Take it easy. Until next time. Solid in time, like I wrote my name on it. Echoes of the future tenses and passing dominance. Telling these trinkets through the rhymes like I damned it. It say lay claim to be blamed on the problem. The man like Tony in betwixt the cosmic matrimony. A cross between the explosives with a terrible motive. I come and go on time with a shape like bullets. Shooting for the stars, thus yes, I'm gifted with ordainment to create the word solvent that echoes through time like a torment. Prickled breeze that leave you phased as you hit ground to knees. There's no telling when they're young, when they're coming. Brain chops, thus I grab for my word more critically. sweeping through the runs like dormant, although I don't have to own it. Just leave my DNA on it. Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Tapping back in. This is Murdoch in the building, or on the track, so to speak. Hope everyone's doing well. Just yeah, man, I was just feeling it today, and I thought finally had some time to, share some thoughts, some expression. And so here we are, back again, and hopefully I want to continue to kind of share a bit more frequent, like I mentioned before, a bit more frequent kind of episodes, and just share further what I have going on in terms of like thoughts and things that I keep creating. And as you know, I always have something to share. So when I have time, it's a great thing, great space to be in, to express. Expression is important. But welcome back to Poetry Journal Podcast. I am your host, Alex Murdoch, and this is a poetry event of sorts. And as you know, I like to just share a little snippet of the snip that I have to speak on, to express about, pertaining to a piece I've created. This is poetry, this is an art platform, and then I would go about, obviously I do it twice. Like I said, a snippet of the snip first, to just kind of give people a little grasp of where I'm trying to go today. And then from there, hopefully we can kind of discuss, I can kind of express exactly what brought me to this point, and then further beyond that, perhaps you can kind of grasp and understand, interpret, but also have your own unique view on it. And fortunately, sometimes I may be privy to hear that view, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Whether that's through directly having a guest on, or it's people just leaving comments or sharing how they feel, what they think, or how they, general interpretation of what I create, what I do. That's pretty much, the way I like to kind of go about it, in a sense. But let me not veer off too much. Let me get back to it. So this is the full piece, the full quote that I have to share today. It's a quote, as I always mention, it's a quote from a full piece, a bigger piece that I always create, I always write. And this one is, like I said, let me just go through it, and then I'll speak more on it. Solid in time, like I wrote my name on it. Echoes of the future tenses and passing dominance. Telling these trinkets through the rhymes like I damned it. It say lay claim to be blamed on the problem. The mind like Tony in betwixt the cosmic matrimony. I cross between the explosives with a terrible motive. I come and go on time with a shape like bullets. Shooting for the stars, thus yes, I'm gifted with ordainment. to create the word solvent that echoes through time like a torment, prickled breeze that leave you phased as you hit the ground to knees. There's no telling when they're coming. Brain chops, thus I grab for my word more. Critically, sweeping through the runs like dormant. Although I don't have to own it, just leave my DNA on it. Thus, like X marks the spot. It may take time, but these lines will hit you in a moment. Never tired, I'm just on it. Never fired, I'm just flowing. But never feeling trapped, thus I relax in it like sonnets. But at the will, I stay ready with the implosives like front lobe disease. Yes, that's that was a piece for today. I think I'm just going through this one, and it's just one of those things where I think at this moment in time it's just kind of almost close to, it's relevant to where I am. They're pretty much all relevant to me, but in terms of like space and time, it's relevant to where I am right now. And what I mean by that is just, I'm at this point in life where, that could just be, natural progression in terms of maturation, or it's just me as an individual where I am as a person. But at the same time, it is what it is. And I say that to say that, yes, time has become, and that's something that's kind of continually been progressing over a long time. It's always been important, but it's become such an important commodity. And I say that not to say that it's even more finite, although that's an argument to itself, but also the fact where it's becoming, the importance of it is ever so much more increasing at a greater height and still climbing in a sense. I think it's a privilege. I would call it a privilege. It's something that, I think to get to that point in your life where something so serious or something so important that you see the value and you see for what it is, it's a privilege. And I value my insight or my interpretation of such, you could say. Which brings me now to really what I want to express about today, and questions. So I guess I would start like this. Are you sensitive to time? Are you a person that is sensitive to time? And I guess what I mean by that is, well, let's go like this. Are you sensitive to time as a person? If not, I will make the argument that it's only a matter of waiting. I don't really want to go too punished by saying it's only a matter of time, so I'll just say it's only a matter of waiting. However, if you are, I would ask, when did you come of age for this to be the case? In terms of time period. when did you come of age? I think it's such a relevant thing, you know, maturation, but it's like one of those things where it's like it's like it's got to be organic, it's got to be authentic. And so whether it happens early or late, it's got to happen on its own. Perhaps it's best to make it happen on its own accord. Like, obviously, you know, you can kind of almost give encouragement to somebody. For example, you can give encouragement to somebody, or you can kind of coerce them to be who you know eventually they're going to be, or what they're supposed to be, because you can see their potential clearly, hence why you're doing it. But until they decide for themselves that this is where I'm heading, this is, you know, make that decision, this is where I'm going with this. Until that point, I think, you know, it's a waiting game, isn't it? You know, it's a waiting game. It's almost like, you know, you're giving somebody pivotal information for their growth, for their progression, or like their know-how to kind of do what they actually want to do, you know, they love to do. It's almost like their path in life. It's confirmed at this point. However, they're not ready to hear it. In terms of like maturation to kind of execute, to make that move. And it could merely be due to procrastination. The process of procrastination, as we know, is one that is crippling. It is essentially crippling. And so it's important that people are aware, you know, and awareness is so important, but also specifically the awareness that timing is everything when it comes to maturation. The next thing I was going to say is, when it boils down to it, I think at the end of the day, all we have is time. Little do we know when time will come, and I mean run out, or when our card expires in a sense. Euphemistically speaking. Going back to euphemism. But until then, I like to know that I'm making use of mine wisely. Especially the here and now, where I am in life, is important to me. Thus, I spend my days constructing. In other words, creating. However, this is my way. This is my way. And I implore you to find your own. I think it's very important. Bar none, regardless of who you are, I think it's important to have that path. And if I don't know how to pave in a certain direction that is necessary, get the knowledge, gain the knowledge. I would gain the knowledge, then spend time trying. You know, that's just the way I see it. And also, if it takes time, I make sure I don't waste it. I make sure I don't waste time on procrastinating. I do my best at least. But you know, it's almost like I heard this analogy recently where and shout out to Master P, but he basically said, you know, a lot of people spend their life on a treadmill, and you literally just, well, if you think about treadmill, you're running, but you're not really going anywhere. And so I thought that was such a profound statement, but it also depicts essentially procrastination. And as I mentioned just before, I think procrastination is one of the most crippling things for somebody who has potential, who has a path, who has something that they enjoy doing. But and you know, I spoke before about a couple weeks ago, I spoke about poverty of the mind, and I think these are one of the remnants that predispose somebody to overly procrastinate to the point of not doing. So I think that's very important, to not procrastinate. They say when the pressure is on, in the moment, you show who you are. Who are you when time comes calling? When the ticking away of the time matters to you so much that sometimes you feel at a standstill. It translates as though you're stealing time. A profound concept, I think, but one that bears thought. As a man, our greatest feat is leaving heights of legacy. Sometimes that is a layer caking, if you will, the dust in time. That may comes in forms of chapters as a book, or even greater, children, leaving a seed behind, biologically speaking. You know, to go on and never stop until the clock ticks its final hand, at least for you or where you're concerned. Isn't that a profound thing? What I mean by this, it's almost like divine justice or chaos in a sense, although it's hard to see it being both. It's got to be one, either divine chaos or divine justice. Perhaps it's possible, but I just don't see it in my mind. And you know, it's a controversial thought for sure, because divine chaos. Interesting. Can chaos be divine? Food for thought. Then it begs the question, what happens when you're finally defeated by time? More questions. More questions. but I'll leave that for another time. Now that pun I do mean. Trying not to be corny right now, but yeah, just thoughts coming to me. But these are just things I actually wanted to kind of express and share today. But as always, I thank everybody for tuning in. And yeah, I have been just busy doing different things, but I have a lot of things I'm planning and things in the works, and I'm looking forward to sharing with people in time to come. And I didn't want to say time again, but yeah, in periods to come, and especially the new year. As you know, I have works out currently also, and you can always order my stuff in bookshops if you live in the UK, or you can order on Amazon. Alex Murdoch, not hard to find. And yes, if you order in the UK from bookshops, they'll be sure to contact me because I'm an independent entity in the UK. But a lot of these stuff that I'm speaking about, it's almost like I'm translating. It's a translation for me. I put it in art, I put it in poetry, I put it in so many different life experiences spill out from my poetry. And you find remnants of these type of questions I have, or these type of thoughts in stories I create. So I would implore anybody who feels what I'm speaking about to reach to, check out what I have out there. I love what I do and I take it seriously. So, of course, the quality of my work is always premier quality. It's authentic. But as always, thanks everyone. And I have some free time, so I'm looking to really trying to get a bit more consistent with expressing things on my mind, and things that I have going on, and things that I want people to kind of really pay attention to, as far as my creating is concerned and stuff like that. But I'll leave links behind, and of course, like, comment when you see my work, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube. I'll be making a video for YouTube to put this on. So, but let me not procrastinate. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of really just be thorough and express before I cut this recording. And appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thanks for your support. Take care. Till next time. Alex out.